Let's do this.
Welcome back, family, here for Team Ohana. I'm your host, Rich, and we're here for the CovrPrice Top 20 for Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024. We've got a very interesting list. The person who was the book was that was at number one last week, which appeared out of nowhere, and I said would drop off just as quickly, is gone. It's not even on the top 20. So again, I want to make sure that everybody understands this is just a review of the list that is reported by CovrPrice. Used to be the top 10, but it's the top 10 and the runners up, so it's 20 books. They do not dictate to the market saying we think this book is the best book in the market. They're actually just reporting based on sales, increases in prices, all the factors that hits their algorithm. In other words, they're reporting what we do. So if we don't like what's on the list, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. Before we get started, I want to just quickly say two things. If you can, there's a lot of people that watch this video that are not subscribed to the channel. Would really love it if you could subscribe to the channel, but also if you could just click that like button. It really helps the algorithm, whatever kind of rhythm of the night, whatever you want to call it, just tells YouTube, let's get this in front of more eyes. But more importantly, though, this is the last week that they're going to be taking donations. We're in the final week for the Comics Curing Cancer C3, with a big auction that they're going to be having in the first weekend of October to help fight cancer. Come on, you're donating books or something comic related, or going to the auction and buying something comic related, so you have the opportunity to fight cancer. That makes you the superhero. It's an awesome thing. You should check it out. You can go to Comics Curing Cancer, or you could just go to Rob's Fast Stacks of Comics and the Comic Vet. They're both great channels here on YouTube, and I'm actually going to be on Only Slabs, which is his Rob's Fast Stacks of Comics weekly live show. That is a different guest every week, showing different slabs. I'm going to be on September 28th, and I'll tell you, he has the absolute best giveaway box. Okay, he gives away crazy books every single Saturday. You've got to check him out, guys. All right, so let's get into this list. We have Robert Monroe checking in. How are you, sir? Hey, that did we time that the end of that Patreon just meet and greet, monthly meetup just right? It's like, okay, so everybody take care. Boom, it just closed on us. Google Meets gives us 1 hour. And I think we just barely wrapped it up. We were just having too much fun. The one time that it was just Robert and I think we went for an hour and a half. And I think that's because if Google Meets only has 2 people, they consider it a call and not a meeting. So they don't put the timer on. Okay, so enough of this jibber jabber. Let's hit this top 20 list, shall we, everybody? We've got 11 new books out of 20. It's going to be a very interesting list. So here we go. We've got Nova, number 1. Now, I haven't heard any specific news about Nova, and I don't know if they're going to be introducing him in anything related to Dr. Doom or anything else. I haven't heard any stories. I have no idea why this is on the list. So maybe there's some rumors that I just haven't heard yet. But this book is continually on this list. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Every time there's any type of news or anything, if they make the character more appealable to today's market, I can see it doing well. But if they redo the same way that this book was written originally, Greg and I did this as a back issue book club. We read quite a number of issues on this, and we couldn't stand it. So again, it was an interesting character, but they just didn't like the writing. Writing styles have changed, and so have our expectations. So let's see what we got as far as prices now. Most recent sale, we have a 9.8 just sold for $9.85, and a 9.6 sold for $2.98. That is a big difference between a 9.6 and a 9.8. This book came out in 76, right? So there's only going to be newsstand variants. There was no direct sale at that time. Near Mint Raw selling in July for $127. Again, I don't know what specifically spiked this. Probably because that $9.85 and the fair market value is $7.78. I think that's an overpay. I really do. This was a very, very common book in comic book shops in the 80s and 90s. Um, I just don't see it becoming that. It's not going to be in demand as much as like Iron Man 1. I'm sorry. And the reason I said is because Iron Man 1 was never an expensive book until the Iron Man movies came out. So even if they like, have a Nova book come out, I don't see it taking off like that. Um, eh, the 9.6 isn't a bad price considering its age, but you think about it, it's a 1976 book and a 9.6 is only 298. That just shows you how many there are. I If it's on the list, it's not the right time to buy it. So just hold off a little bit until you see it come down a little bit. Definitely don't go for that $1,000 price on a 9.8. 750, 700. That would be a more fair price, in my opinion. Next on the list, we have the Hulk #1, first appearance of Red Hulk, only appearing on the cover, of course. Um, 2008. Let's see what we got as far as prices these days. 248. Wow, it's come down $50 already. Look at that, $50. It was 295, now 248. Kenneth Bird, how's it going? Welcome to the show, sir. 197 for a 9.6. So the 9.6 has gone up a little bit, but the 9.8 has taken a nice little 1.6. What is that? 16.66% drop in price. And I think that'll drop down a little bit more. That was just that quick. Oh my God, we're getting Red Hulk, which everybody knew in the new Captain America movie. Almost at Falcon. That was a spike because of that. I think a lot of people were counting on that spike to sell the books that they were stuck with. Now you're getting a lot in the market. The prices are starting to come down, and lately it seems like the first trailer is when the highest price is. So I would only expect this book to continue to drop at this point. Number 18 on the list, we have the unbelievable Gwenpool #1 again. It is cool cover art on it, but it's from 2016. I still don't see what the appeal is of this book. 9.8 just sold for 100. That was before last week's show. And High Grade Raw is selling for $12 for a near mint, $14 for a near mint plus. Meh. I mean, if it's something that you would like to have in your collection, go right ahead. It's not the first appearance of any specific character that I'm aware of. There's another Deadpool type of character that's anything with the word pool right now. I'm sure that you can probably sell your garden pool for a little bit more money because of the Deadpool movie. So if you really want this, just hold off a little bit. I think it'll go back down a little bit further. Number 17 on the list, we have Batman issue #1 from the New 52. I was actually really shocked to see this on the list. It says current trend down 2%, but this was a really good comic book run, and I believe this is the one that's came with the Court of Owls and everything else in it that people are expecting to be in the next Batman movie. Well, maybe they're I'm just speculating here that issue #1 might be where they start the storyline of that movie, which could be interesting. I'm not sure. See, in 2023, a little less than a year ago, it was 240 for a 9.8. Now it's 175 with a fair market value 167. 9.6s are a little bit less. It's 62. But near mint plus raws going for 31, but that was back in June. I think if you do a little bit of frugal shopping, you should be able to get it for like 150-ish if you really want it. But again, it's not going to be it's not one of the key books in the run. Like it's not one of the first appearances or one of the iconic covers. It is just the #1 from the New 52 run from 2011. It's still a cool cover. Don't get me wrong on that. I mean, that run with Snyder and Capullo was very good. I wouldn't say it's a bad investment. I think that there's a lot of them out there, so you would have a chance. There's talk of having a Nova MCU TV series someday, but they've been saying that for years. Yeah, and since I had heard that, but I also know that they've taken a lot of the projects that they were planning on doing and put them up on the shelf and they're not ever planning on bringing him down. There was a point where they were just doing a series for everything, just pumping out like they wanted a series to start the week after a series ended, just have nonstop 52 weeks of content. Then they start realizing that's going to cost way too much money, and it's not getting them any. It's sacrificing quality. A lot of series have already been canceled. Ones that I think would do better than Nova. I don't think we're ever going to get the MCU series. And even when they were talking about that, we didn't know which Nova we were going to get. It's kind of like getting a Ghost Rider. You don't know you're getting Robbie Reyes or Johnny Blaze. Venom, Lethal Protector #1. I was surprised to see this on the list. Happy, but for surprised. What does it say? I have one. I have two. I have a 9.8 and 9.6. Well, anyway, let's see what they're both going for these days. 9.8's fair market value of 125, 113, selling for 125, 9.6 for 85. The reason, you're getting closer to the Venom movie. So, of course, the Venom books will be going up, which should also include your Spider-Man #300, your Secret Wars #8, Spider-Man 316 first cover appearance. Those kind of books are definitely going to go up, as well as any books that have any kind of reference to the characters, the bad guys, or whatever the names that will be in the movie, which off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. This particular Venom book, there's a lot of them made. So this book goes up with news and back down again without it. The gold one, I think, is the one that's the super rare one to get. Or is it the Era Black cover? It's definitely not the common red, but it's a cool book to have in your collection. It's a cool looking book. It slabs really well, and you should be definitely looking for a high grade book on that. But just 120-ish is about what it always goes for because it's so popular. You can probably do a little creative bargaining and get it down to like 110. I don't think it'll go too much any lower than that. I don't think it'll go any higher than that. That's kind of like the price of the book at all times. That's about standard. Ultimate Spider-Man #1 is back on the list. Who would have thought? So let's see how the prices are doing these days. 9.8 just sold for $179, which is still pretty good. I was some surprised at that. And Near Mint plus Raw is going for $70. Okay. What do I have on this? It's another one I say I have one, but I think I have two. I have to go through this whole thing and see what books. I got a feeling that my inventory isn't quite correct on this, but we'll see. I still think this book will come down over time, even more. It just kind of reminds me of the Spider Boy. That even this, even the hot books and the Tosin first appearance, eventually, I think just about everything modern age does come down a bit, and your better investments are silver, golden age, even bronze age keys. But I don't think it's going to shoot back up. It says current trend is still down a little bit. I know there's stores that have multiple copies of this. At some point, though, it will slowly trickle down in price. Next up, we've got the Max #1. First appearance of the Max. This is from 1993 from Image Comics. That's another one that I know I got. Anyway, 9.8 just recently sold for $90 and a fair market value is $65. Wow, that is a very, very highly printed book. In December, 9.8 was going for $189. I think I paid $65 for mine, and that was with news. I think 90 is way, way, way too high a price to get to pay on that book. You should not be paying more than $65 for it. So definitely hold off on that. There's just way too many of these. They're all over the place. And here you go. Marvel Secret Wars #8 from the first series, the origin of the alien symbiote that becomes Spider-Man's black suit and later Venom. And another book that was very highly printed because we were all reading Secret Wars when it was coming out. We all knew that we were going to be getting the information at that time, all us comic collectors, and everybody bought this book. This was like, You ever see in the movies where some major thing happens, like the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and you just see uh, a a panning of like everybody in town reading the newspaper, all everybody holding the same newspaper, reading it. That's kind of like what it was like. Everybody was reading this comic book. So, and the original Secret War story was really great. If you haven't read that, you really should go back, and even if it's digital, read it. Uh, this is a blue chipper. This is never gonna lose its value. It slowly creeps up. It is a pretty much a good indicator of for the market. If this was a stock, it would be on the Dow Jones. 9.8 selling for 476. That's a pretty good price for a 9.8. With our 9.9s and 10s out there, but no recent sales of them. High grade raws. Somebody bought a high grade raw for 143. I can't believe that when now fair market for near mint plus is 393. Somebody says it got 143. That's probably somebody's bad listing, giving cover price bad information. The near mint showing 213. That's more in line with it. If there's literally people out there selling 9.6 to 10 to 10 in a raw for 143, I'll buy them all day long. But 9.8 for 476, that is not a bad price. And I think the closer we get to Secret Wars and Venom, yeah, even after Venom, this book is still going to hold value. And 9.8 for under 500, that's not bad. I don't have a 9.8. I think I have a 9.2 or 9.4. I have a 9.2 of one of the between this book and Spider-Man 252, and a 9.4 of the other. Which one was which? I couldn't tell you. But I'm happy to have them. But yeah, sub 500 for a 9.8. That's worth it in my opinion. If you just want to get into the book, if you want to get something for under 200, you can 8.5 or 180. Or you might be able to bargain a 9.0 for fair market value is 199. So saves you a little bit of money, still gets you a pretty good value on that book. Okay, see. Number 12 on the list, we have the Power Fantasy, the number 1, The Chase. Now, this is interesting, and I'll say more about it later on the list, but it has come down a little bit more in value. Says the highest prices that we're paying were 37 back on August 29th. Now 12, 11, and last recorded sale 10. So again, it's not just a matter of how expensive, how rare the book is, but it has to be a good story. And the reason I say this is interesting is because the regular cover A is also on this list, higher on the list than this is. So if you want to get one for 10, I think it's going to drop down a little bit further. I think the Power Fantasy number 1, the cover A is going to drop down a little bit further. But at least if you bought it for 10 and it drops down to 7, you're only losing $3. Not like if you bought it for 37 and it went down to 7. So it might be time for you to start shopping for it if you wanted it. Number 11 on the list. Wait. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. Yeah, I was right. Good. So that's 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're at the halfway point with Amazing Spider-Man 252. Now, this was the first appearance of Spider-Man in a black costume. Really confused a lot of people when we went to the store because we didn't have Previews World and everything else back in the day in 1984 when this book came out. We didn't know these books are coming out. We went to the LC, the comic book store. You'd go back. Wait, why is Spider-Man wearing a black costume? Just what the heck? So it shocked us. And it's that nice homage to Amazing Fantasy 15 as well at the same time. And this is another blue chipper. Now we see on this 9.8's 1690. Which version are we talking about here? This is the newsstand edition that they have up here on the list. All right. Mine's not a newsstand, I don't think. Yeah, it's up there. So, all right, there it goes. No, I do have a newsstand. Mine is a newsstand, but only it is a 9.4. I can see it, and it's a 9.2 on the Secret Wars. So, um, oh, that puts that a little over $300. I'm happy about that one. But 16.90, it's because it's a newsstand. If you really want one and you don't need it to be the newsstand, I would go for the direct sale. You'll have a, even though they're about 50-50 at that time, maybe a little bit more newsstand, 55-45. But the higher grades are easier to find now because ones that were direct sale back then were purchased by collectors, meaning that from day one they went straight into bags of boards and we took care of them. The people buying at newsstands, not so much. Um, Again, this is a book that is another Dow Jones, a blue chipper, one that whatever you want to say, something that you would put into your. It will always be slowly going up, and it'll never crash. It's just too main a book, too important a book from that time period. This may be one of the most important books of the 80s. So it's if you're not a newsstand fanatic, I when I got mine, I did think I didn't pay any difference in price. I just saw one and grabbed it. I'm just gonna pull up the prices of the regular ones real quick. 9.8 of that is 1,020. It's still over $1,000, but it's $600 less. But once you drop down to say a 9.0, you're at 179. 324 for 9.6. So you can save yourself a little bit of money if you want to get a decent grade by just getting good old fashioned Spidey's head here instead of the newsstand. But this is on the list right now. Everybody's interested because, of course, it's officially the first appearance of the symbiote suit. You've got the Venom movie coming out, and we're got to find out if Venom will be in the Secret Wars and everything else coming up. We don't know how they're going to end that movie out, so we don't know what his future is in the MCU. If they end Venom completely, which I don't see Sony doing, it's too much of a cash cow for them, then these books could go down, drop down a little bit, which would be a great time for you to buy the book. But I don't see that they would do that. All right, we are at the midway point, and I want to take a quick moment just again to remind you guys to please, Rob's Fast Sacks of Comics, Comics Curing Cancer. This is the last week that your last chance to get those donations in so we can get everything all primed and ready for the first weekend in October auction. And just to remind everybody to keep, start saving your money. Okay, I've seen some of the books that they've got lined up, some of the books that have been donated. I personally have my eye on Spider-Man 129, first appearance of Punisher, with a yellow label. It's been signed. CGC, yes. So looking forward to what they've got there. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to all the members of Patreon and our YouTube members that just help keep the cost of the books, the cost of shipping, just help to offset a little bit so it doesn't kill us so much. And if you'd like to join, the link for Patreon is in the description, or you could just join right down below as YouTube member. If you don't want to join, and that's fine, I have no problem with that. If you can, please at least just give yourself a thumbs up here, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you know when more things are coming up. So this is the midway point. We'll be hitting the top 10 in a second, but I want to take this moment to say thank you to all those supporters. All right, we're going to be going into the second half of the show. And it was funny when I saw that list. I wanted to say that it was really, really cool to find first time during our Patreon meetup, BD Sally came in and joined us as well. And she pulled out a couple of really cool books while she's out to dinner eating tacos. And all three of us were like, tacos. Yum, 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 yum. So, All right, so moving into the top 10, we've got coming in at number 10, the Power Fantasy number one, the regular cover A. Now, this book has shot up in price a little bit here, and it's up by 27%, and is currently selling more than the Chase. That's what I was talking about. It was very interesting. That Chase book that everybody was so hot for is now selling for less money than the regular cover A. One's gone down and one's gone up. The cover A is now selling for 14, but the 9.8s, they've had some pre-sales for 9.8. Back July 25th, they were selling for 50. There's no other pre-sales since. If this is selling for 14, 15, when people start getting 9.8s back, I expect you're going to see more like 70, 75, because that's usually what a $15 book translates to in a 9.8. Probably closer to 85, 90 when they first come back and there's only a couple people with them, but as more people have them in hand, um, I'm hearing some good things about this story. It's only a 5-part story. So if more people get into it, God help us if it gets optioned, uh, this book could take off. So check your LCS. They may still have some copies left in the back issues and that they have not marked up. You might have a chance of getting one at cover price rather than paying $15 for it. Number 9, we have Grommets. Number 4, another one of the 1 in 10s, another one of the very interesting covers. They usually have a really interesting 1 in 10 cover. Nothing mind blowing, but interesting. I haven't read it. I picked up a couple issues. Number 1, it really didn't interest me. I just wanted to pick up the number ones. But the 1 in 10 is currently selling for 28 for near mint plus, 25 for near mint. So about 2.5 or so times ratio. It's a number 4. It's a 1 in 10. I don't see anything fantastic about it. It's not great arts. I'm going to say this is going to drop down. Even though it's hit 2.5 times ratio, I don't see any reason for it to stay up. So, me personally, I would just stay away from it. Last recorded sale was 17, so I see this coming down. I'm sorry. Wolverine Red Band 1 in 25 homage. This is the Wolverine Revenge Red Band. This was on the list, I think, last week as well. So we've got the highest sale is a pre-sale for 75, now selling for 46 to 40, which is not even double ratio. This is another book that is falling into that. I don't want FOMO from the very first one of the red bands, 1 in 25s, and I really don't even think the cover is all that fantastic. So just I think that all these 1 in 25 red bands are going to crash badly, with the exception of the original one, and that's going to crash mildly. How about that? So, yeah, I would stay away from this book. It doesn't have a lot more to come down, but I think it'll probably wind up hitting closer to 2025 when everything is said and done. We have Deadpool issue number 31, the first full appearance of Ellie Camacho, daughter of Wade Wilson, also known as Deadpool. 3rd week on the list or 4th week on the list, and another week that I have no idea why, nor honestly do I have any inclination to look it up because I just don't care about this character. I didn't see any reference or anything to her in the movie. Maybe I just missed it. 175 was a 9.8 on 820. No sales since. High grade near mint plus raws on 825 selling for $20. Near mint regular selling for 36 on November 1st. I think the near mint regulars are a better indication of a high grade raw. I think people that have a 6 on scale, a CGC 6 equivalent in a raw, put it up as this is a perfect book. It's never been touched. No reputable person on eBay says that they're selling a raw that is 9, 8, or a 10. If they're that sure of it, they send it out for grading. So, let's just say 36 is a more indicative price. Even that is down from 43. And I don't see any reason why it's even really on the list. What prompted it to get on the list? And once it drops off this list, this book is going to tank. Okay, very surprising books here. This one I just was not ready for. We have the Alien versus Avengers. This one just came out last week. This is not a ratio book. This is the regular Mark Brooks cover, which pretty good artwork by Mark Brooks. I'll give him that. New Miles Morales Xenomorph Symbiote Alien Costume. Uh, and this one is selling pretty high, up 100%, it says. We've got, wow, highest grade raw 75, last sale 11. Huh? Well, the one thing I will say, and I'm going to say this in advance, there is a ratio variance also to this book. It's a 1 in 100. So it's very possible that somebody sold one of the ratio variants for 75, which threw off the algorithm, causing it to make the average price on this to be 40 when the actual price for it is going for closer to 10, 11. So, which means some dealers are now going to be selling this book for 40, 50, trying to sell 40, 50 bucks. Don't pay 40 to 50 bucks. Fair market value is probably closer to 10 ish, 9 ish. And I would wait until it corrects itself. This is going to be a very highly printed book. And it's not the cover A, which has gone up a little bit. I see that selling for 13. Yeah, absolutely don't want this for 40 bucks. And then when I do the Rubber Man in the Butt, I'm not even going to pick this book because that's an error. If it actually was selling for 75, that would be the obvious choice of the week. All right, next on the list we have Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, number 72, the retailer incentive 1 in 10. Nice artwork, very very close to a negative space variant. And look, I like the Sonic the Hedgehog covers. Hector Ortiz, how you doing, sir? What do we got? This definitely looks like a case of mistaken trade dress for ratio. Yeah, exactly. And we'll be hitting that 1 in 100 because it's on the list coming up. So we'll be able to compare some of the prices in a second. I like the Sonic the Hedgehog ratios. I like the artwork. However, then they never, ever, ever hold value. And the bottom line of the reasoning is that the amount of people that there are that actually are true Sonic the Hedgehog fans, not just the people that speculate on the books trying to get to make money. The people that love Sonic the Hedgehog and the amount of books they print always seem to be in perfect harmony with each other. So there's always enough books to go around to the collectors. And as a result, the equation of supply and demand doesn't trigger the inflation of the book. So that being said, a 1 in 10 selling for on average 12, 15, $17. That's going to be about right. It may come down even a little bit more. Don't expect it to go up. I say in 3-4 months, you see this selling for under $10. It's not even a first appearance of somebody. It's just the artwork itself, which is cool. It really is cool. I like it. But I think this book is going to drop by about 40% in price over the next 3 months because historically that's what the Sonic 1 in 10s do. Number 4 on the list, we have Avengers number 55, first appearance of Ultron. Now, I did say last week, if you could try to sneak and find yourself a decent copy, you might want to grab it. I think that ship has sailed and this book is going up again because we have found out that Ultron will be returning, which is really interesting. What's he going to be returning in? I'm trying to remember what the heck I heard it in. Not in the Marvel Zombies. The Vision series? No. Maybe in the Vision series. Yeah, I think it is going to be coming in. Yeah, it's coming in the Vision MCU series. So, and James Spader is on board for doing the voice, and he's going to be a major character. Right. Okay, I got it all. That being said, if we get Ultron back and it's James Spader and Will he make it past the series and back into the MCU? I think there's a good chance of it. I really do. I think that Ultron being manipulated or controlled or working in conjunction with Doctor Doom would be a one heck of a 1-2 punch. All right, so let's check prices though. Look at this, a 9.2 for under $300. A 9.0 for 250. You're talking about 9.2, 9.0 of a 1968? Yeah, 1968 comic book. With a pretty decent cover, too. It'd be great if Ultron was on the cover, but yeah, 1968 book, 56-year-old book in a 9.2 with the first appearance of a major character for under 300 in the nines. That's a good price. That's a really good price. A 7.0 for 100, 6.5 for 89. These are all recent prices. Of just simple mid-grade 5.5 just sold for $56. That's not bad. I mean, almost for just the cost of grading and shipping back and forth, almost you're going to get a mid-grade first appearance of Ultron, Silver Age book. That's not bad. That's a good book to look for. An 8.0, 140, 8.5, 165. These are, yeah. And again, I can't tell other people, yeah, $200, that's easy. I hadn't spent it. I understand the economy's horrible and people are trying to scrimp and save and, get pay their bills, and I get it and everything. That's why I try to point out you can get yourself a mid-grade for 56. So, yeah, I think that's a decent buy, even though it's on the list and it's going up. I think there's enough out there that you can still find a decent one. Here we go. The Aliens versus Avengers Mark Brooks Virgin variant 1 in 100. And a lot of these were sold at stores. There's going to be a lot of these 1 in 100s. Now on this, I see Very Fines sold for 90. Near Mints went for 163. Near Mint Plus 161. Somebody prepaid for a Raw for 225. This book is definitely going to come down. There's just too many of these covers, too many of these books that stores. Well, it's actually only the 6 covers. It's a Scotty Young. That's usually a good seller. You got to figure that at least between the cover A, B, C, D. If stores ordered on average 20 of each, that qualified them to get one of the 1 in 100s. If there's one on average per store, then that's still 2,200 copies. I know that there's more than that. Probably going to be about 5,000 copies of this. It won't have the legs. It's going to be too many of them in the long run. It won't have the legs to maintain. So in 6 months from now, this is going to be lower priced. I wouldn't get this book for the 140s. I got a feeling this is going to be half that price in a year. Number 2 on the list, I Lie Popeye. This is the video game homage. It looks like Punch Out. It looks really cool. I like the way they drew that. There's from Massive, which I think is the same as Shortbox. And I actually meant to pre-order this, and I screwed up and didn't do it. Anyway, we've got pre-sales of a 9.8 going for 75, and Raw's going for 25 to 40. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on how the series itself does. I don't think that we're a society that's really interested in getting into a new Popeye story. So this is the cover A book, which is up a little bit in price. It's got that anime-ish look. It's kind of cute. But it depends on how good the story is. I mean, it's possible, but I do like that cover though. But it's not a ratio variant either though. It's going to be straight up purchasing. So I think in the long run this book is going to come down a little bit. I think it's going to be kind of like the Infinity Dime, that it came out strong and then dropped quickly in price. And a brand new number one that wasn't on the list at all. For last week, we had a book that appeared and then just up and disappeared. It was optioned. This week, we have a 2016 Black Mask Studios book. 4 kids walk into a bank. A full color comic book. Well, that's nice to know in 2016 that it's full color. It's got Magic the Gathering dice on the cover here, a slingshot, a car, a gun, obviously. I don't know what the story's about, and I can only assume that this is on the list because it got optioned somewhere. Just because something gets optioned, doesn't mean it's going to be made. Okay, it may be that one of the company, a lot of times companies option a story, a comic book, so they're locking it up so nobody else can develop it. Maybe they have another story that's very similar. Maybe they just want to make sure that nobody else gets good storylines. So they purchase the rights. And then once they own the rights, they don't have to develop it. They just make sure that nobody else can. And the flip side is, let's just say somebody is going to develop it. Once they sign the option, you're still 2 years away. So if it's on the list right now, wrong time to buy it. 9.8 sold in 2020 for $200. If that's the case, then this probably got optioned back then, and maybe somebody leaked out some news that we're getting close. That being said, 9.8 just sold for 88, which is less than half the price of what it was in 2020. Near Mints is selling for 15. Now, for $15 for a Near Mint Raw, that's not terrible. You find one, it's Black Mask, which was not a terribly big studio in 2016. So the print runs are going to be super high. There's a lot of different covers of this stuff, so just be aware of that too. Maybe $15 for a raw isn't terrible. I don't know what the census is to know if 88 is a high price or not. But even if this is a story, a movie, a TV series, there's just too many of them that come out. Some of them even do well and don't hold value. I mean, look at Old Guard. Look at Paper Girls. I mean, geez, I have boxes of books downstairs that were optioned and made into shows, and in the long run did nothing. $15 for a raw, I'll endorse that. That's about as far as I'll go. So that is our list. Now, what I've got to do now is I have to pick 2 different books. One is my gun to the head pick, the book that I think at current prices give you your best chance for a long-term investment, or at least, let's just say all 20 go down. Which one will lose the least amount of money? I'm going to stick with the one that I was kind of tooting before, and just picking a grade. On older books, I get to pick a grade. If it's a new modern book, it's kind of assumed that I'm not taking a 4.0. Yeah. So for my pick for my gun to the head, I am going with Avengers number 55, first appearance of Ultron. It's a 56-year-old book, first appearance of a major character, and you can get a 9.2 for under 300 or a 9.0 for 230 to 250. That's where I would be shooting for personally. I want something where the 9 is the first digit to really, and I would like to see something with off-white to white at the bare minimum. I don't want off-white to cream or off-white straight up. I want off-white, at least off-white to white pages. It's a white cover, so hopefully something that doesn't look too yellow because of the age. I would, be picky on this. There's a lot of copies out there. And I think that'd be a good book to have in your collection. I think even after the Vision series and Ultron comes and goes, it's still a Silver Age key book in a high grade for not too much money. Yes. Now, what do I think is the worst investment on this list? This is going to be my rubber band to the butt. The one that I think is the worst investment based on current prices. Which one do I think will do the worst? There's a couple here. Nothing is a real, oh my God, what the heck were they thinking? And again, I'm not going to take that mistaken price for the Alien versus Avengers book because I think that's a mistake as far as the listing, which gave CovrPrice some bad information. Um, Max is a contender based on how many there are. Um, I mean, it's not a major drop. It would probably be about 50% of its value. I think I'm going to have to go with Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog's 1 in 10. Selling, if it is selling for 15 to 17, I really don't think there's going to be more than $6-7 in a few months. Robert and I seem to see eye to eye. I was thinking the Popeye book, because it is. I think a lot of people bought this in a speculation, and it's not a ratio book, so it's kind of tough to tell on that. The other one, actually, the Mark Brooks Aliens versus Avengers for $160 when there's going to be way too many of these. Yeah, that's going to be dropping down to about 50% as well. So straight up, just money wise, this is probably your worst one. Percentage wise, is probably going to be your Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, so that's is way I see this list, and apparently the same way that Robert sees this list. So I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you again for joining. Please don't forget to check out our new comic book day live show on Wednesday. If you haven't had a chance yet, go to last Wednesdays and make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you like and subscribe. We always have a weekly giveaway, and last week we broke the record for 25 for amount of individual people's comments. 25. If we can break the record a second time in a row, the giveaway will not just be the four books that I offer every single week, but I'm going to throw a slab in. I have the slab picked out already, so there we go. All right, I want to say thank you once again. Again, like, subscribe. Don't forget to click on those notifications so you know when more videos are dropping. Don't forget to go to Comics Curing Cancer, Rob's Facts, that's the comics, the Comic Vets. Check all these out and make sure that you get those donations in. If you're not, make sure you're getting that money saved up for October. It's going to be a great show, a great auction, and we are going to break a record again and kick cancer in the nuts. Can't wait to see that. Till I see you in the next video, though. Thank you for joining. Mahalo.